Ladies and gentlemen, we are live.
What's up, folks? Welcome to the MMA Opinion Podcast. My name is Liam Griffin. I'm joined as always by Mr. Paul O.D.
Our things, and this week we will be talking about future Tough 29 coaches, Conor McGregor visits Salt Bae, and Julian Marquez's unique call-out last night.
As well as a full breakdown of the UFC 258 card. So, lots to be getting on with. Fuck. Let's be getting
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk? What's going on?
One of these days I got it right. One of these days.
For those that are tuning in every week will realise that this is an ongoing thing, whether Liam gets his own catchphrase right or not. Most weeks not.
Anyway, news items. Let's get on to it pretty fast there. So what was the first one again?
Future Tough 29 coaches. So you read that it seemed as though they were working on Colby and Masvidal as the potential coaches for the upcoming Tough 29 season. Mm-hmm. And that would have been fireworks. But with Colby now in line to face Hamza Chimaev, it looks like it might be about to change. And of course you had Usman with his call-out last night.
Yeah, exactly. So it now seems to have pivoted, and I think Dana White alluded to it like that in this day or in this time that like literally everything changes every few hours.
Yeah. So
it looks now like more likely that it's going to be Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman.
Yeah.
For opposite each other and tough coaches, and then maybe them fight at the end.
I mean, let's be real though. For a tough fan and for that kind of environment of show, that's a big loss. Colby versus Jorge would have been entertainment from start to finish.
And I'm not that excited about Jorge Masvidal and Kamaru Usman anyway. You know, I'd even be, you know, I think Colby and Kamaru would be better than Kamaru.
Yeah, the dynamic there is certainly better. Yeah, look, Jorge is going. This is the thing. They needed to have one of Jorge or Colby on this show, because they both bring eyeballs. They're both entertaining people. Usman, look, we can talk about his performance in a while and we'll get into it, and whether there's talk of GOAT stuff now and beating GSP's record. But behind the mic, he's not great. And he's not the most entertaining guy outside of the octagon. So it's a tough settle. But it's a championship fight at the end of it, as opposed to just... maybe they were lucky at doing the BMF title or something. It's certainly a different kind of narrative to be spinning for it. Mm-hmm. Who would you have preferred to see if you were given the option? Would it have been Colby Usman, Jorge, or Colby versus Jorge or someone else entirely?
I think, like, as much as I hate Colby, I think Colby and Kamaru would have been good. I just have no. I just think that Jorge Masvidal has kind of. I think he has more to prove before. I mean, I just don't think he's up there right now. I don't think he's in the picture right now. I think he's been to borrow a phrase from Nate Diaz. They're just kind of bringing him back from the dead just for a talking point. You know,
it's all wolf tickets.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't. It's just not. I'm not buying it.
Then again,
I'm just not buying it.
The one thing I will say in Jorge's favour here, he took the fight on 6 days' notice, and he's put up a tougher test to Usman than most have with a full camp. That's not. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that Jorge is going to go out and beat him with a full camp. I'm just saying he's certainly a legitimate challenge to Usman. Whether he's worthy of the shot and he's done enough in that division to get the shot is besides the point. I think stylistically he is a tough enough challenge for Usman, and I suppose that's why Usman called him out. Maybe it's an entertaining one.
Yeah, I don't know. Just the whole welterweight division doesn't excite me too much at the moment. And I know that's another Nate Diaz reference. And I think one of the MMA opinion staff mentioned that as well. I don't know, was it David or Devin? I'm not sure, but I just like when you compare it to what's going on at lightweight or heavyweight even, or even light heavyweight, just like the welterweight seems stale at the moment. Kamaru is just a dominant champ, and I don't think there's anybody there that's going to derail him for a long time.
Then again,
your boyfriend, I know. Let's go on. Go on.
You do have a
Will I play some romantic music for you while you talk about Chimaev here now?
You do have a certain man waiting in the wings. That's if he can beat COVID. Look, we talked about this on Friday's podcast about Chimaev's battle with COVID and whether he's a legitimate contender and whether he's worthy of taking on the number 3 in the world anyway. I think it's irrelevant, but certainly like what you're saying about the welterweight division not having any hype and not having legitimate contenders, there is an unknown about Chimaev that makes it interesting. Mm-hmm. If we can get that guy back in the summer or before then would be great and fight a top contender, and if he wins, it opens things up and it makes it interesting again.
Yeah, absolutely. I still want to see him get past somebody of the ilk of Leon Roberts. I don't think Chimaev has been tested yet.
Yeah.
And I will get on the train with you. I may not pine as passionately as you do about Chimaev, but I will certainly get on the bandwagon and on the train, the hype train with Chimaev after he gets past somebody like
a top contender,
a Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, or Leon Edwards, or even Tyron
Vicente
Woodley.
Luque, somebody that's
somebody up in the top 10.
Yeah, of course.
I'll jump on board then, but
now, while we're on the Tough 29 coaches, you did have a kind of a dream scenario of who you wanted to coach just for pure entertainment value. Not that they bring, not that they bring anything special to the show in a coaching perspective, but I believe you wanted Mr. Darren Till and Mike Perry to coach at it.
No, no, that was the other one. That was the one I was it Diego Sanchez I wanted. Diego Sanchez and Donald Cerrone. No, I don't know who did I want? I don't know.
Originally, when we were talking about this in January, you said for pure entertainment value, Darren Till and...
Okay, right. Was that my idea? I didn't realize it was my idea. Okay. What a great idea.
To be fair, would be absolutely hilarious. It would be fireworks, but the fight at the end isn't worth the selling the whole thing like on.
I don't know. There has been Ultimate Fighter seasons where the coaches haven't fought at the end. It might be one of them ones.
Conor and Uriah being the standout one there, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it'd be something like that. I think I don't know though. Is Mike Perry mentally stable enough to coach a bunch of
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So it would just be pure entertainment.
Yeah. And Mike Perry, let's remember, his last few fights has had no cornermen. So it would be himself and his wife.
And she's out the picture now as well, isn't she?
No, they're back together.
Jesus Christ, I can't keep up.
Yeah. But it'd be him and his wife in coaching and probably just him smashing through doors for no reason.
Yeah, Rampage Jackson a door.
Except a glass door.
Yeah. Or maybe it might be best to put Mike Perry on one of those comeback shows.
Yeah. Mike Perry certainly has to do something to get his UFC card back. He's
put him on there with Caro Parisian and a few other welterweights.
Caro Parisian is fucking 60 years old, surely.
Yeah, but sure, he's not that much further beyond Mike Perry at this stage.
Put Douglas Lima back, or Diego Lima back in there again. Yeah, third time lucky. Of course, the original tough lineup, what they were aiming for was Conor and Khabib, and I think that was the original plan. And I know I was trying to spin the narrative at the start of the year that it could be Izzy versus John Jones if Izzy beats Yan. With everything that's going on at the moment, I wouldn't be shocked if that still came to fruition. I know John's talking about staying a heavyweight, and they seem hell-bent on making him next for the heavyweight title, but if they're struggling to get coaches, maybe they don't fight at the end of it, but they still make them coaches. It certainly starts to sell that and builds promotional material for if they do meet down the line.
Yep, no, I'll be on board for that. So Frankie Dean O'Sullivan says get him to fight Paul 0-3.
Cheers, Franks.
Oh, this Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, right, yeah. I thought you were talking about Paul Felder. I was like, did they fight already?
Yeah, no, he's giving me a nod to my record there. Saying that I'll go 0-3. Who's that? Mike Perry. I'd just sit on Mike Perry. Mike Perry's too small for me. And I'm not going to say that with a straight face. Absolutely not. He'd smoke me.
Yeah, Mike Perry would actually come on the show here in Johnny Jackson. Any second.
He'd come straight through the door, yeah.
So, anybody watching in live, who do you want as the next coaches for Tough? Do you want Well, it has to be like it's a welterweight season, right? No,
it's actually bantamweights and light heavyweights, as far as I know, that they have going on, and they haven't given any inclination as to who will be on the show. But I have a feeling there'll be a couple of decent names at bantamweight, because there was a couple of guys cut from Bellator at the start of the year. Ricky Bandejas.
Yeah.
And there was another guy, I can't think of his name, but they were cut and we haven't heard anything from them since. And this was around the time that they were doing tryouts, so it could be a very good season.
Yeah. So, but they're not specifically tied to a particular weight class for the coaches. So at this stage, it could be anybody. So any suggestions from the audience there? Anybody listening in, watching in? Who do you want to see as the tough coaches for season 29?
And let's go on entertainment value here. There's obviously other people that are credentialed for different reasons in a fight we want to see. But if Tough is to make a big comeback, they've got to bring in entertaining coaches for this. What
about Hall of Famers? What about someone like GSP as a Hall of Famer and a Michael Bisping?
You could bring back GSP and Khabib, just the coach.
Jesus.
Start to slowly build that narrative and see if you can get them on board.
Would they get to the end without calling each other out? I think they would. I think they're too respectful.
They're too amiable, the two of them, and their relationship is quite good. So they'd be very respectful of each other. But
let's get Ken Shamrock back and Tito Ortiz for another go.
Or Rampage and Rashad. Go old school, and just that heavyweight one was the best one ever. So
yeah, actually, I was only just watching back. I was telling you about this. UFC released like a 45-minute kind of like YouTube documentary, just highlighting all the kind of ups and downs of the tough seasons from like way back from the beginning all the way up to now. Man, the amount of stuff I had forgotten that had happened on tough seasons, like it's been what a move from a promotion, like from the UFC to actually come up. I know they did it out of necessity. They were a floundering business, and at the time, reality TV was where it was all at. But for them to pull the plug at it and then to keep it going for 28 seasons as it was before they kind of canned it for a while, like what they've produced, the content that they've got from it, the stars they've got from it, the storylines they've gotten from it, like we've got like the likes of Tony Ferguson, Kamaru Usman, Rashad Evans, Michael Bisping.
It's crazy. Diego Sanchez.
Where would the UFC be without it today?
Yeah, and a lot of people believe they were beating a dead horse towards the end after maybe season 8, but they went for another 20.
Yeah,
but if you go back and watch every season is still engaging. Every season is still good. People lost interest in the concept of the show, but there was still some great fights on every season. If you're a fight fan, they're still a must watch for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I haven't watched them for a while. I used to watch them like religiously back in the day. Like I think the first 12 seasons I didn't miss, like I didn't even miss, it's not that I didn't even miss an episode. I didn't even miss part of like the intro of the episode. I was like such a nerd for it. Like, but then I think it's once they started doing the simultaneous seasons in different countries,
Latin America,
it was too
Australia,
much. It was too much to keep up with. And then once I lost the flow of it, I just said, fuck it, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
So that was just me being.
And for a lot of people, weirdly, it was the live season that did it.
I had forgotten about that.
The one Michael Kieza won that was dragged out for fucking half a year.
I totally forgot about that.
It was just insane. And the live, they did the fights live, and the live broadcast was always appalling. There was breaks of 20 minutes where no one knew what was happening, and the in-ring announcer, whoever was there, was just didn't know what was going on. Yeah, that was a strange season, but of course you had Michael Kieza come out of that, and look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the fans that are watching in, what was your favorite season of Tough? Which season? So Frankie is saying Masvidal and Diaz would be a good shout for entertainment value. Again, another phenomenal 100%. Combination.
And put that, people are forgetting as well, all right? Right now we're just after seeing the welterweight belt on the line, and in the next 11 weeks we're going to have another 6 titles on the line with because Amanda Nunes is a double champ, that's tying up 2 divisions. And because Israel Adesanya is a champion taking on a champion, that's 2 divisions. So that's in total 7 belts, 9 divisions that are tied up out of 12. So when we get to April, May, June, July, there's 3 title holders that are ready to go. You could argue Kamaru Usman's ready to go off based off that performance last night, but we know he doesn't fight that often. So you can be sure, I'd be very shocked if I'm wrong, but you can be sure the summer this year the BMF title will be back. So it does make sense.
Yeah.
What are you're giggling away at me? Eh?
No, I don't know. I just this fucking BMF title.
It's a gimmick. Don't get me wrong.
It's a gimmick, like.
But at the end of the day, it's going to sell a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
100% sells a pay-per-view. Jorge versus Colby, Jorge versus Diaz, Jorge versus more or less anyone that's got a mouth in the welterweight division is going to sell for that.
Yeah, I know. It's just that it for me, because it just seems to be like it you have to be a welterweight to be in the BMF title picture. Like, what's the point? Like, it's just like the mini welterweight title. It's not really the bad motherfucker belt, like, because it's exclusive to welterweights, and I don't know. I think it's one and done, and it should
You could get someone like a Gaethje come up and challenge for it. You don't know.
Yeah, but into the welterweight division again, like, you know, so you're excluding all of the women, you're excluding all of the heavyweights, light heavyweights, and the middleweights.
I don't think any women want to hold the bad motherfucker strap, like.
Bad bitch belt? Come on, I know there's definitely a few bitches in there that would push for that. Like, Macy Barber is definitely she's got a bit of attitude on her. She definitely wants to fight for a bad bitch belt.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Ronda Rousey will come out of retirement for a bad bitch belt.
Could be a good shout. Her and Shayna Baszler, even though they're friends. Shayna Baszler will be all over that with her WWE shit. We better move on to our next topic.
Yeah. What is the next topic?
We have, this is a bit of a jovial one, but Conor McGregor visits Salt Bae, and you noticed he missed a bit of a trick when he was there.
I nearly disowned him, So we know this Salt Bae. I actually I didn't even know he was called Salt Bae, but he's the dude, he's the chef that kind of makes a bit of a performance out of kind of dissecting meat.
Yeah. And
then it all kind of stems back to this kind of like trademark move where he kind of sprinkles the salt down off his elbow. So McGregor is in a restaurant with his family, and Salt Bae is cutting up a gold steak. Did you tell me it was gold?
Yeah, gold steak.
I don't know what was going on there. I didn't even notice that. But just at the end of the whole thing, he kind of offers the kind of container of salt to Conor, and Conor picks it, like takes a finger, and I'm like, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. Yeah. What does he do? He just goes. Like, I was like, oh my god, he's not SBG anymore. I can't. I just disowned him.
The trivial things that fucking bug you, like. We've gotten into a few of them today, but we won't.
No. Let's not mention the ketchup stains. Fuck's sake. Right.
That's a story for another day.
No, that's not for this podcast anyway. What's the other item there? On
the other item is, of course, Julian Marquez last night and his unique call out. Now, we'll get into the fight when we're looking down through the card. But originally, you kind of mentioned that he might have missed the trick with not calling out a fighter and calling out Miley Cyrus for it to be his Valentine.
Yeah, that was a bit weird, actually. Yeah, go on.
But that's until I told you Miley Cyrus actually replied. Miley Cyrus replied and said if he gets MC shaved into his chest hair, she'll be his Valentine. Which, look, it's all very tongue in cheek and it's all kind of just a bit of fun. Yeah. But if you're a middleweight that's not ranked in the UFC and you have Miley Cyrus retweeting you after a big win, that's moves. Yeah, you mightn't be calling out someone, but it's moves.
Yeah, he moved the stock up a bit anyway.
100%. Everybody knows his name as a result of that now.
He looked to me, I tweeted you guys afterwards and I said he's definitely on cocaine. His post fight, like, he couldn't stay still for a second. He was like breathing heavy. He was like all over the place. He was so hyped. And he also did another call out, which was a bit strange. You have a bit more background on that. What was that about?
The hashtag your city or something the UFC were doing. Yeah. But the whole concept was the UFC were going to put out this hashtag that where's the biggest venue or where's the best venue in the world. And I imagine the whole purpose behind it was a little number finder for them of where their fans are tweeting
some market
from
research.
Exactly. But Julian Marquez, for whatever reason, had heard this story and decided he was going to break the news like it was this big fucking promotional thing that the UFC were doing. I don't think he really understood what was going on.
No. And it kind of fell flat in his face. He lost. It was either the Miley Cyrus thing or that. You can't do both. No, the Miley Cyrus thing worked out.
Yeah. The other thing fell
flat in his face. And now even if the UFC go after it, now it's just gonna be
a gimmick now.
It's done. Like, so he just ruined that. But you said that the UFC weren't too happy about that, or
they came out with the tweet after saying what he had said, and said that Julian Marquez is looking for a job but do it anyway. But of course Julian Marquez had targeted his own city and said everyone tweet this. So the numbers are all fucking skewed now. It's a pointless endeavour for them.
Yeah, he's just ruined it.
Yeah.
But there you go. Anyway, I suppose we better get stuck into the actual card itself. For those who are watching in live, hit us up in the comments and let us know what was your favourite fight of the night. We're going to get through a good chunk of them anyway, but just give us a heads up and maybe give us a comment on who do you think was the standout fighter of the night, who should have got the bonuses, who was like a surprise performer of the night. Did you make any money on betting? Let us know and we'll pull you on to discuss it. But yeah, so which fight are we going to start from? We start from the main event, or
we might as well start with Usman.
Okay, so let me. Yeah.
It's look, he beat our GSP's record, which is in and of itself incredible.
Yeah.
The fashion that he beat Gilbert Burns was phenomenal. The one thing, look, I said it before, and I don't get much right, so I'm gonna point to one thing that I did. I said that Gilbert Burns, I don't believe we knew where he stood in the division, based on the two guys that were legitimate, supposedly, that he fought were on their way out.
Yeah.
I think we know where he is in the division now. I don't think he's a top 5 fighter.
Do you think? You think that he goes way down the rankings now?
Well, not initially, but I mean, he got absolutely smoked. It was, and everyone will point to the fact that he clipped Usman early, but I think Usman showed true championship mettle to be rocked and to not get finished in that first round, and come back and just pick him apart. And from the start of the second round on, he made Burns look kind of out of his depth.
Yeah, I actually when I was previewing this fight, I gave Usman the striking advantage, thinking that his reach and his work with Trevor Whitman would give him the striking advantage. I completely underestimated Gilbert Burns' explosiveness and ability to kind of cover distance. I think you're being a bit harsh on Gilbert. I thought he actually, he was within finishing in round 1, yes, but there was a few knees up the middle and a few combinations as well that Usman was lucky he didn't get tagged by. Like, in particular, Usman was dropping his head an awful lot. He was going for body shots, but him not being a natural striker, not being like a classical striker from a young age, he has come to the striking game a lot later. Yeah. So there's a lot of his technique is a little bit stilted, and he doesn't have the flow to hit that body shot clean. So his posture is broken when he's going for body shots. And there was once or twice where I even put it into the group chat between us. I was saying, like, he's going to get knocked out by a flying knee or something.
Yeah.
And I think in that regard, I wouldn't say it was a dominant striking performance by Usman.
Yeah.
I think he had the Achilles heel, which was the piston of a jab.
Yeah.
But it could have gone like another overhand from Gilbert
could have been a very different
stage
story.
Could have ended the fight as well. I don't think he was that solid,
But this is my point. Usman didn't look spectacular. And like you say, but he still made Burns look completely out of his depth. Do you know what I mean? So my argument is that maybe Burns, was it too soon? Should he have fought another big contender there at 170? We've got a couple of comments coming in.
We have. So,
Usman say back.
When Vieira got submitted, it was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy.
Absolutely.
I actually had a long conversation with John Kavanagh about that, but anyway, we'll get back to that later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, good shout out there, Usman. And Andy Hickey. Burns is great at being a hammer. but terrible at being a nail.
That is very true.
That's a great quote as well. I think we might rob that one.
I make a better nail than a hammer, though, in my fight. So that's a bit of a troubling one.
We both do, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But back to Usman, I want to ask you, it seems like every time a champion has a big victory, we start on this GOAT train. And it bugs me.
Yeah.
They're like, it was Khabib last, it'll be Davison the next time he fights, it'll be John Jones when he's competing at heavyweight, and it'll flip-flop over and over and over again. Should we just squash this now, or do you believe he's just put himself in that discussion?
No, I think it's way premature. I think he only he's only the champion since like a couple of hours ago. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking about comparing him to GSP. GSP had something. He had more than 10 title defenses.
Yeah,
and there was like GSP was there so long that there was contenders who were just coming into the organization, working their way up, then becoming the number one contender. And he was dispatching generations of contenders,
and then becoming gatekeeper, and then
yeah. So like he was outliving generations of challengers, and I think Usman, I mean, he has all the potential to become a GOAT at one point in time, but this is well premature.
Yeah,
you know, well premature. He okay, fair enough. He's the champ, but he's nowhere near the caliber, or not the caliber, but the prestige of either John Jones or
Khabib,
or not Khabib. I don't put Khabib in there either.
Yeah, GSP,
GSP, John Jones, and maybe somebody a little bit kind of more old school. I know you like BJ Penn for this, but I would think maybe a Randy Couture who kind of went up and down divisions and
of course the forgotten man now was DJ Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah, Demetrius Johnson. How did I forget him?
Yeah.
I mean, like Usman is way premature for any of those conversations, I think.
Yeah,
anyway.
Same for me. If he beats Hamzat, I'm on board. But
so
Seth Tempa's back.
Oh my God!
Seth
here we
the
go.
Batslayer's back in the house.
So hold on, what do you say?
So he has Hughes past, Koscheck, Fitch, etc. present, and Hendricks future. I believe that's about the GSP comment that you were making.
Oh, about the multiple generations. Yeah.
Very, very true.
Is Seth agreeing with me?
I think so.
I don't believe it.
I think so. And Thomas Land said Anderson Silva is in the conversation.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, these guys are all perennial GOAT topics, and of course,
one of our admins anonymously commented as the MMA opinion, and they're going to have to say who it is. The real GOAT is Artem Lobov. Always love it.
I wonder, are they going to be brave enough to claim that comment?
28 men have tried and only 14 have beaten him.
Yeah, no, definitely premature for Usman anyway for me.
Yeah,
but yeah,
but the performance was it was spectacular in the sense of getting that finish with jabs.
Yep. No, once he discovered what the secret weapon was, he stuck with it. And he got him out of there. I mean, like you saw the difference between round 1 and round 3. Obviously, there was Gilbert was fresh in round 1 when he did. I think there was a takedown, but I don't think it was one that Usman went for. It was kind of one. A takedown happened. It was a kind of like a fall over or something like that. But Gilbert was like, "Come on, get in here," and he was very, very tentative. But like when it came to the third round, when he dropped him with that jab, he fucked those legs to the side and buried him with a right hand, and then
he knew it was done at that point. That's the difference.
Yeah,
Usman, he has that killer instinct, and that's something that Burns was missing in the first round because Usman was badly hurt, and Gilbert. I noticed as well going into the fight, and a couple of people commented on this. Burns looked nervous pre-fight, and people are saying he couldn't be nervous. He came out and rocked him, but after he rocked him, he was a little bit there in the headlights, looking at his hurt opponent. And never really went in for the kill.
So Seth is back. He says, it's like Joe Rogan going crazy and declaring Holloway the GOAT at 145. He can't even beat someone from his generation. Jose was undefeated for 10 years. Do you reckon the game has kind of moved on? I mean, Jose Aldo was a champ when maybe the caliber wasn't the same as it is now. Has the game moved on a bit?
But then you can argue. So Jose was fighting who were the elite of the elite of the elite.
Of course, yeah.
Different generations bring different amounts of challenges, but it's it's hard to take from his credentials.
Yeah.
If it was 2 years, fair enough. But over 10 years, you're going to meet some opposition, and he did meet some fantastic opposition in that time.
Yeah. No, that just says that's for every generation. No, that's true. That's true.
And Sean Wallace is on the real goat is Eilish.
Absolutely. That's an in-joke here for SBG Cork, but yes, Eilish O'Hanlon is the GOAT. So, all right, so that's the main event. What's next? We've already spoken about what's next for Usman. He looks like he's going to sit back a while, coach tough alongside of Jorge Masvidal and kind of do that run for now. Gilbert Burns, back to the drawing board. Anybody there that you'd like to see him go up against?
Nobody in the top 5. I want to see him go back and take on number 6 to 10 and find his feet in that division again, and so that if he does come up against Usman again, he's earned it. And because a lot of people will argue he beat Woodley, he beat Moya, who else are you going to give it to, and he was on a streak. But at the same time you had Leon Edwards on an 8-fight win streak, who'd beaten similar opponents without that big victory. So maybe it was a little bit too soon.
So Jeff Neal is recommending,
Jeff Neal.
Usman is recommending Jeff Neal.
That could be a great shout. Very tough matchup for him as well, by the way. But I imagine Burns actually would like that matchup, just in the grappling sense. He'd probably fancy it.
Or Bilal Mohammed needs to move up in the rankings a bit.
Another good shout after a big win, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get on to him shortly. But let's go to the co-main for now anyway. So who was that again? I can't even remember.
The future is a little bit more distant for Macy Barber, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Macy against Alexa Grasso, and Alexa Grasso looked phenomenal, and her fighting didn't look too bad either.
Yeah, sorry, I'm a bit distracted here now. Let me just get these last 2 comments out of the way here. So
that
we
landed
have
well.
Andy Hickey, Burns versus Kieza.
That's a horrible matchup for him, I think.
For Burns?
For Burns, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Kieza's strong point is jiu-jitsu. Burns is a world champ.
Yeah, and I still think Kieza is just in MMA jiu-jitsu. I think he's better.
Okay, interesting.
And he's too long for him on the feet. Burns' striking is better than Kieza's, but I just think he's built wrong for a Burns challenge.
And Wonderboy would be a great fight, says Thomas. I think Wonderboy is a bad matchup for Usman and Gilbert.
Yeah.
I think like Tyron Woodley had a very, very good game plan against Wonderboy, but like it made for a fairly uneventful fight. Now I was on the edge of my seat for the whole fight. I loved that fight,
waiting for something to happen. Yeah,
for like an entertainment value, I wouldn't watch that fight again because I know how it went for 5 rounds. But like while I was watching it live, it was very exciting. But yeah, Wonderboy. I think Wonderboy is primed for another run at this.
Yeah,
I think the matchups suit him this time around. You know,
but maybe Burns is that matchup he needs to get back to that fight.
It's true.
Being that Burns has just competed for the title.
That's true. So let's move back on to sorry, no, I got distracted there with we had to get those comments in because otherwise we would be out of context. But yeah, Grasso showing great strength against sorry, I have you on camera.
Yeah.
What do you want to
Grasso just looked absolutely phenomenal. Every time you've been talking, you've had me on camera, by the way.
All right. Just put me on there for a little bit. Go on, you talk and I'll be on camera.
Yeah.
I'll just start blowing raspberries at the camera.
No, Grasso looked absolutely phenomenal. This is a girl who's moved up to 25, and the big question mark was, could she hang with the intensity, the power, the strength of Macy Barber? And I believe she did so in all aspects. In fact, looked stronger than her in the clinch.
Yeah.
And
that surprised me actually. I was expecting her to pick her apart from the outside. I felt that her footwork and her in and out movement was going to be too much for Macy Barber, but I didn't expect her to also dominate the clinch. That was That's huge.
Yeah, and
Like-
I'll hold my hands up. I thought that's where Macy Barber would win this fight. And 2 minutes into the first round, I knew it was going Alexa's way, because you could see that she had more than enough for her in that position. And I think Barber looked a little almost deflated early on. And when she realised the strength, she kind of looked like, oh, this isn't going to be the fight that I thought it was going to be. And she just didn't look herself until that third round, of course.
Yeah.
She came out.
Well, that was great cornering. I didn't get the full context of what they were saying, but I got the gist of it.
Yeah.
Somebody in her corner said, look, we've seen you do really special things in the gym.
Yeah.
And we want to see it right now. And there was some great cornering went on all night last night.
They lit a fire under her for sure, yeah.
100%. And I think had she come out that way in round 1 and 2, it would be
a very different result.
She could have snatched a decision, but she got the third round when she had already lost 1 and 2, so it was too late.
That's my argument. Why not make that case in the second round? You've lost the first round. You know you need to win the next 2. It's a bit late to go, third round, we're down 2, we need you to get a KO. Why not? You lose the first one. You know it's a 3-round fight. You got to pick up 2 rounds. Now you got to turn it on. It just seemed like it was a round too late for Barber.
But as Dana White says, she's a baby. She's 22 years old. She's a baby,
100%.
and she put herself under enormous pressure to become the UFC's youngest champion. It looks now to be impossible at this stage.
Yeah.
But you know, and I feel that third round gives us a kind of a preview as to what she's capable of. If she takes, like, she's got this cockiness out of the way now. She could have claimed that the Roxanne Modafferi loss was a freak injury and that wasn't a real loss. She could have.
Yeah.
Now we know she was losing the fight up until the human MRI machine incident, but there's no denying she lost this fight.
Yeah.
And she is not as good as she thinks she is in her own head. Now this
sure.
could go 2 ways. She could either get the hump and start sliding back down. I think one of the guys from the MMA opinion page compared her to a Kevin Lee with being a hype train and not so much substance to back it up. That's one option. She could go that way. Alternatively, she could use this as a kind of a line in the sand to kind of refocus herself, to cop on a bit,
kick the ego to the curb and focus on her skills.
And kind of, we say, like, do a GSP versus Matt Serra on it, you know, and a loss being the best thing that could ever happen to her, you know. So we'll see where she goes from here. But I certainly I'm encouraged by her youth and what she showed in round 3 as a kind of a preview to the future of what she can possibly achieve.
Yeah, and just on Grasso, I mean, everything looked phenomenal, down to her grappling, which isn't her strongest point. But she looked phenomenal on the mat. She looked phenomenal in the clinch. On the outside, she was picking her apart. No, she was in rough water in the third round, but she survived. She played a very smart game. She's going to be trouble at 25. I think she said it herself that she's rounding out her game and she's working really hard to get the complete game. But if she does, she's going to be a challenge for anyone there at 25.
Absolutely. No, this move to 125 has been a great move for her career.
Yeah.
And as she says herself, her body is thanking her for it.
Yeah.
And also as well, her post-fight interviews were very, very good. I mean, I know it's a little bit narrow-minded for us native English speakers to expect every fighter to be fluent in English, but call a spade, like, you don't hate the player, hate the game. It's a predominantly English speaking market, and for any fighter that's like we say, looking to make a run at a title, for the likes of Grasso to now be giving really good English speaking interviews is going to raise her stock even more
massively.
You know? So she's got a bright future. I think it's going to be certainly top 5 next, I think.
Yeah. And for Barber, Miranda Maverick fell off the card. I think that'll be a great next fight for her.
Ooh.
I know it's a big move up for Miranda, but I mean, Gillian Robertson's a tough girl. Macy Barber's a tough girl. They're another 2 prospects. I think it would be a good matchup. Is
it too early for them to meet? Do you think they should kind of build them up a little bit, or is it just a matter of perfect timing? We're going to get.
I think right now is perfect timing, because I think Barber was pushed into a high ranking too quickly, quite evidently, and Maverick is looking to move up in that direction. So there's one kind of maybe trying to find that middle range of where they're both at, and you get an idea, I suppose.
So just on little aside here, I think we found out who the anonymous poster was.
Ben do said, hey, I figured out how to comment as me. This is a huge step for me.
We're all very proud of you, Ben. Fair play.
Good man.
So just moving on down through the card here, I just need to get my notes.
You had Kelvin Gastelum versus Ian Heinisch, next one up.
Yep.
And this fight, as much as Kelvin did look very good, it was a very close fight. And the commentary team did my head in the whole way through this fight.
They were painful.
Talking about Kelvin Gastelum as if he was one of the greatest 170 or 185 pounders to ever do it. They were literally talking about him from the first minute to the 15th minute that he was a world beater at 185 pound. This is off the back of 3 losses. And don't get me wrong, he did look good in stages of that fight. He looked very good. But the narrative...
He definitely gave Izzy probably one of the toughest challenges.
Yeah, but you could argue Izzy didn't put in one of his best performances in that night.
Yep.
Izzy smoked everyone else. Like, he lost and then lost the next one and then lost again. Like, I don't know. It's a strange one. They were talking about him like he was the next world champion. He's a long way to go to get there, and this was a very close fight. I thought Ian Heinisch pushed him right, very close. You were saying the first round was...
I gave Heinisch the decision. And I'm purely going on at this from, so like for those that are watching, my kind of involvement is from a coaching point of view, and more specifically over the last few years at IMAF Championships, which is the amateur, we'll say the
worldwide federation.
Yeah, it's the Olympics of MMA at an amateur level, and so we always struggle to kind of figure out what's going on with the referees and the judges, because we need to be able to corner the fighter so that they win in a tournament. And not knowing what the referees are looking for is suicide when you go to these tournaments. So here's the way I broke down. So I don't think there was any controversy over round 2. Round 2 was Kelvin Gastelum. Round 3 was probably the Heinisch. I don't think so. It's round 1. It's all down to round 1. Now, what you had Gastelum absolutely dominate the positional.
Yeah.
And he landed more strikes. Now, were they significant strikes? Was there anything there that rocked Heinisch or did any damage? I would say not necessarily. I don't think there was a huge discrepancy there between the two of them. But
we're going back to that argument again of what is a significant strike.
Well, in IMAF terms, it's damage. So the two key words are danger and damage. So if it doesn't like cause somebody to cover up and defend themselves, or we say create some sort of a bit of swelling or a cut or rock somebody or something like that, well then it's not considered damage, we'll say. Or we say like even a leg kick that starts to create swelling, that's damage. Yeah. But there wasn't anything like that. There was a lot of shots from, we say, a kind of a mount position, a half guard position, a kind of a side right position.
A lot of them were pitter-patter
shots, exactly. But the only difference that I could, so in the realm of danger damage, the only difference that I could put between the two of them was that Kelvin Gastelum was forced to defend against 2 Kimuras. Now, there was probably no, the technique of how he was applying the Kimuras was off. He didn't have quite the lower body control in order to finish Gastelum. But, however, Gastelum had to defend. If Gastelum made the wrong move, he would have gotten submitted. So with that kind of reasoning, I gave Heinisch round 1. I also gave him round 3, which gives you 29-28 to Heinisch.
Yeah, but I said it before the judges called it. I said there'd be a 30-27 because there was one judge on the card that was literally scoring every card for positional. Mm-hmm. And there was a trend all night, every fight. There was whoever was in the positional advantage was winning the fight.
Yep.
Which is frustrating. Yep. And I completely understand what you're saying, but about significant strikes and its damage, but that's not the way it's scored in these big events. In Bellator, in UFC, significant strikes is an accumulation of strikes. Yeah. It's bananas.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the other thing as well is that Joe Rogan was shocked that it wasn't a 30-27 unanimous decision. So, I mean, like how
Joe Rogan wasn't watching the fight.
But he he does this every show. Do you know, it's almost as if he doesn't know the rules for scoring. Do you know? No, I know. Like, okay, if this was like if we were scoring, we said 10 years ago, back in Matt Hughes, Randy Couture, Chuck Liddell times, 100% Kelvin Gastelum won that fight.
30-27. Yeah.
But the rules have been updated to get away from the lay and pray style. And like, you know, Joe Rogan doesn't seem to have kind of cottoned onto that. So well, that annoyed me. I know it annoyed you because they were. But it didn't feel like
it didn't feel like they were watching the fight. They were just yammering on about. Even at one point, was it during that fight that DC was going on about the essay?
Oh yeah.
No, sorry, that was during a different fight. Sorry, that was the Grasso fight. But I mean, they just get lost up in the conversation. I don't think they're watching half the fights.
Yeah, I think Joe Rogan and DC are a bad combination when, like, it's almost like they get too giddy between the two of them.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan with anybody else and DC with anybody else is fine, but I think those two as a combination, I don't like it. Just catching up on some comments here. So Ben Doucette, oh no, that's we were at that already. So Thomas Land said Kelvin is sold on beating Vitor, Tim Kennedy, Jacare and Bisping all at the end of their careers.
Yeah,
and
100% agree.
Ben said I had Ian winning round 1 due to the submission attempts. So we're in agreement there, Ben.
It was a very close fight. Either way, if it had been scored for Ian, I wouldn't have been shocked. If it was scored for Kelvin, I wouldn't have been shocked. But what bugged me was the narrative throughout that Kelvin was this world beater.
Yeah.
And that Ian didn't belong in there was bananas.
Yep. And it was definitely, I mean, Kelvin did look the more experienced fighter. You could see that he like, you know, he didn't panic as much. Heinisch looked like he was gassing out in after the first round because he like the pressure was on him and stuff. But the commentary was off in that regard for me anyway.
Yeah.
Will we move on to the next fight?
Ricky
Simone and Brian Kelleher.
Yeah. Good fight. But Ricky just completely dominated from start to finish. Mm-hmm. That first as soon as he landed that first takedown just straight under, you could kind of get a feel for where that fight was going to go. And the cut he opened up, it was really bothering Brian Kelleher early.
Hold on now. Was that cut from an elbow or
the headbutt?
Did he squeeze it out of him?
Oh my Jesus. John Anik, by the way, doesn't drop the ball too often.
Yeah,
I enjoy John Anik. He dropped the ball bad twice last night.
Yeah.
There was that gaff, which is just, I suppose that's more kind of jovial.
That's naivety, really.
Yeah.
I think I don't think he has as much kind of fight experience as the other two guys. But
the other one was
that was
quite touchy.
Yeah.
We might get into that.
We'll get into that when we get to that fight, yeah. But yeah, no, it was there. But yeah, I mean, it was just, I think, 3 rounds of just Ricky Simone.
Yeah.
Basically ragdolling him, really.
Yeah.
Again, this was another one now where okay, the what was going on here was kind of positional control, but there was nothing in, like, there was no danger or damage at all from Brian Kelleher. So in that regard, because there was no difference in danger and damage, well then you do count the positional control.
Yeah.
And this is a fight that this was the fight that Joe Rogan's comments would have been warranted.
Yeah.
Do you know, this was definitely a dominant 3-round.
Oh, very dominant.
Ragdolling.
Yeah.
Do you know, and that was it. But
at the first round, I wouldn't have been overly shocked if they gave it 10-8 because it was dominant from first, second to 5th minute.
Yep. So, Andy Hickey is asking us, what's your favorite commentary team? I like Dan Hardy to get a shot on pay-per-view.
I'm all for that. I think Dan is probably one of the better ones. And Paul Felder has grown on me if he dropped the cup shot thing. He's certainly grown on me, but I think 2 on the commentary team works a lot better than 3.
Yeah, you don't like the 3.
No, it just turns into a conversation. Anyone who watched any Bellator event last year, and some of them were phenomenal, but my God, you would have to watch them on mute. John McCarthy, Josh Thompson, and Mike Goldberg, they just stop watching the fights and they start talking shit, which is fine if that's your choice and you're watching a fight companion or you're watching a podcast. Yeah. I mean, if that's what you want, fine. But if you're watching an event,
the MMA opinion fight companions are way better, by the way.
Yeah. If you want to listen to talking shit, we'll do a fight companion to you. That's what we mean. But yeah, no, it was just. I think 3 doesn't work for me.
I'm a big fan of Dan Hardy as well, Andy. Actually, to me, I think Dominic Cruz is one of the best there. I know people are kind of annoyed with him recently. I think he's kind of a bit uppity, but
I just can't abide by him.
So I just feel that he was the first of the generation, like where they had Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg, and Joe Rogan was like the knowledgeable one.
Yeah,
and no, don't get me wrong, Joe Rogan knows his stuff. He's
very
black belt
knowledgeable.
jiu-jitsu. He knows what he's doing, right? But when we got Dominic Cruz, it was like a whole new level. Like Dom Cruz had all of the wrestling breakdowns. He was able to articulate what he meant very, very concisely. I learned so much watching fights when Dom Cruz was commenting. To a certain extent, DC has done that just as well, with a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
But Dan Hardy is way up there as well. I would put Dan Hardy ahead of DC, but I would put Dom Cruz as my number 1.
Yeah, I think the John Gooden, Dan Hardy things works for the European cards and all those. But I like DC. I think DC and Anik works as well, but just not with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I think John Anik is exceptional.
Very
but
good.
You have to kind of like, these guys have their different roles as well. Like John Anik is the color, as well as John Gooden and Mike Goldberg.
The other lads are the color, and they're play by play, isn't it?
No, the analysts are the play-by-play, and then the caller is the Mike Goldberg is going in with his mother's from Tipperary and his father's from Cavan. That's the color side.
Neither are hurling stronghold.
So Thomas is asking, since the game has evolved, is it possible that Joe Rogan's working knowledge of MMA isn't as developed as it was 10 to 15 years ago? And Ben absolutely agrees with you. We all agree with you on that, Thomas. I think you're spot on there. No.
Look, he's still very knowledgeable and he still brings eyes and he's entertaining. But I think there are better candidates for that position. And let's be fair, it's not like he needs the money. 100 million for his podcast. I think he's doing all right. He enjoys being there, which is fine. But give him, like they did the Snoopcast, give him an alternative one, where himself and DC can talk all the shit they want and you opt into that commentary. That's fine. I'm all for that. But if you're watching and you want the commentary team to break down the fight, I don't think that's the team.
Yeah, absolutely. So who else have we got? We
get on to Julian Marquez and Maki Pitolo.
Woo!
That was some fight and I called it.
Great fight. Yeah, you called it. You did. Absolutely.
And it wasn't given fight of the night. How was that not given fight of the night? They gave no fight of the night. It was phenomenal from start to finish.
Yeah, so Pitolo came out the traps like a bat out of hell.
And I was shocked. He likes to stand and bang, and he went grappling heavy early to try and wear out Marquez.
Yeah.
Kind of backfired in the end a little bit, but he certainly had a game plan.
So this is in particular, this was one of the fights that I felt that the corner teams were spot on.
Yeah.
So we had James Krause in the corner of
Julian Marquez. And we spoke last week about James Gallagher being over doing some training with James at the moment. Like James Krause himself, an active fighter, and like a bunch of lads out of that gym, they're all doing very, very well. I think, is it Sean Strickland's out of there as well? Yeah.
So I mean,
no, they were involved before, but I don't know if he's there now.
Okay.
I think they're looking to fight. No, they had some
Sean
back
Strickland,
and forth.
No, it's Jacqueline Buckley wants to fight James Krause.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I'm missing something there.
Yeah. But in terms of like corner advice and saying the right thing at the right time, this is again something that DC is very good at commenting on corner advice. Dom Cruz is very good at it as well. So like throughout, like at the end of each round, they were giving really pinpoint accurate. I think it was James Krause said to Marquez after round 1, he was able to pinpoint that the reason that Pitolo was getting a double leg was because Marquez was going for the Muay Thai clinch. So he was doing the Thai plum, and basically Pitolo was just dropping his levels and shooting straight for the legs, and that was the result. And then literally he pinpointed that one little piece of information and then that was a difference in the second round for Marquez to be able, not necessarily dominate the second round, but at least not get caught by the same thing again.
Yeah.
And like that is like having a cheat code.
Yeah, and it genuinely right away made him more competitive in the clinch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. And then of course they're 2 rounds down going into the third, and Kraus gave like a kind of a Dana White-esque do you want to be a fucking fighter speech. I actually I have the notes. He said do you fucking understand, and Joe Rogan was like, oh, pot him out. But yeah, it was like it was what he needed to hear at that time. And then of course we saw Marquez come out the traps, and like he did exactly what he had to do, got the knockdown, got the attempted guillotine, and changed it into the anaconda for the finish. Against the run of play, and big performance,
phenomenal. And that fight was back and forth. Even the rounds that Pitolo won, Marquez was still a threat and swinging heavy, and it was just an entertaining fight to watch from start to finish. And both guys, their stock rose in that fight for me. I think Pitolo was on a losing streak. Well, I think he'd won his last one, but he was 1-2 or 1-3 overall in the UFC. But I think his stock has risen, and I don't think he'll be going anywhere right now anyway. And Marquez, of course, now is on a very impressive run in the UFC, and after 2.5 years out as well, that's an impressive comeback.
Yeah. So Ben is saying that Pitolo tends to beat himself before his opponents do. He did in his last fight, getting caught in the guillotine.
Yeah. Very true. Well, his last fight was Kasangani, as far as I know, and he didn't get caught, and he rode in there until the very end. So it did appear like he'd fixed that issue. Yeah.
Kasangani is a scary looking human as well.
Big dude. Yeah. So
Marquez is a big dude as well.
6'2". He's massive at middleweight. He looks like he wouldn't be undersized at heavyweight. Like, he's just a huge dude. And speaking of wouldn't look undersized at heavyweight, we need to get on to Rodolfo Vieira.
Oh my God, yeah. How much weight did he cut? He was huge at that weight, wasn't he?
He looked about 260 pounds. He looked like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
he looked like a slightly shorter Brock Lesnar. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I don't know how he made 185 pounds. Bananas. But, I mean, it didn't work.
No.
Have you ever, in all your time watching MMA, seen a guy gas that hard? And yes. I have one reference point.
Go on. Who have you got?
Tank Abbott in his first one.
Shane Carwin, Brock Lesnar.
Oh, that's a good one, yes. Fucking hell.
Are we playing top trumps here?
Yeah. But it was bad. And literally what went through my head when I saw him get up off the stool, I was like, he looks like fucking Tank Abbott. Tank Abbott had an excuse. Tank Abbott was just a bar brawler. That's what he was.
Yeah, Tank Abbott had 2 Budweiser behind before he come out to the cage. That was actually a tradition of his. Ben just said there that he was thinking it was Darren Stewart that guillotined him in the last fight.
Yeah, but that was the one before Kasangani. I could be wrong. Maybe that was since the Kasangani fight, but I thought Kasangani was his last outing. Just if you want to double check that for me.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the
Fluffy Hernandez.
Yeah, I was trying to think of his fucking name.
Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. My God, that guy's going to go down in folklore.
100%.
And like,
he survived. He survived a really dominant, like a 7-time ADCC champion attack. For the first 3 minutes of the first round,
and got him down in less than a minute. He had him on his back in less than a minute, and I was going, "Oh,
straight off." It was even less than that.
Yeah,
it was straight off the single leg.
I gave that fight another 2 minutes. I was like, I don't see. No,
I thought it was going to be like an old Gunnar Nelson fight, where he just kind of slipped to the back and slip in a rear naked choke or something like that. I gave Hernandez no chance.
But Rodolfo's move is that arm triangle.
Yeah,
and he is like kept going back to the well. But he was kind of pushing for 3 or 4 times in that exchange.
Yeah, and
just couldn't get a hold of it. But Hernandez' defense was phenomenal. He just looked, and when they eventually got back to their feet, he just looked like a wild man in there.
Yep, absolutely. And fair play to him as well. He put the shots on target. You know, I know it was like sitting. what's the phrase?
Sitting
Shooting
duck.
fish in a barrel.
Oh yeah.
I was shooting ducks in a barrel there for a second, but yeah, I mean, like it wasn't a moving target, but he still had to put the power together, you know, and go for the kill, and like I was screaming here at the TV saying like throw the towel in, like, because I like it's only pure luck that the worst that happened to Vieira was that he got a cut over his left eye. You know,
some of those shots were vicious. He got clipped 6 or 7 times bad, and it looked like it was one of those weird ones. A lot of them looked like punches that would put a guy out, and he just looked like he went out on his feet. It looked like he just literally went stiff on his feet and eyes widened, and it was a strange one.
So Andy Hickey jumping in here. Only the second time an ADCC champ has been subbed in the UFC. I saw your tweet on that, Andy, how there's a stat going around that it's the first time, and you picked up on there was one way back in UFC 10 or something like that.
36, I believe. Can you remind us, Andy, of the first situation where that was applicable?
Yeah, so we'll get that up. And for anybody that's looking for stats on UFC references and MMA references, make sure you go check out Andy Hickey on Twitter as well.
It's at Up the Darce, which is a very clever.
And you'll have to put your Twitter handle in the comment section there as well, because
but always good stats coming every day.
Yeah, brilliant. So afterwards in the post-fight interview, Fluffy Hernandez was joking that maybe he get his first stripe in his purple belt. So I text John Kelvin. I was like saying, "What do you think? Do you think he should get a first stripe on his purple belt?" And John was like, "Well, look, put a gi on him and let's not punch Rodolfo Vieira in the face a few times, and let's you know, and then we'll see, you know." So John ain't giving stripes for no one.
No, as you text back to him, tough crowd.
tough crowd. So Andy Hickey, UFC 34, Frank Mir versus Roberto Traven.
I was 2 out. That's not bad.
And do you want to put up your Twitter handle as well, Andy, and we'll get you some followers.
Yeah.
50,000 extra followers today now, Andy. But yeah, we'll get back to that when Andy puts his Twitter handle up there. But phenomenal fight. Like, I mean, the of all the fights, that one probably got the most viral reaction, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
100%. Look, it's one of those situations where you just don't expect it. I got up on my feet. I stood up, basically. I didn't just jump up in the air. I stood up. But yes, it was phenomenal. And something you don't see every day, a guy of that level being tapped out. It was just a bit of a shock.
Yeah, and it was a nice variation on it on a guillotine as well. So it's actually an arm triangle. It's not a guillotine. So he Hernandez managed to put his so he had a left arm guillotine, but he also had his left knee on the other side of Vieira's elbow and tricep, pushing that in. So it was basically an arm triangle, but it's kind of like in a guillotine format.
Yeah.
So I don't know if does anybody that's watching have an actual name for that. Here in SBG Cork, we call that an arm triangletine.
Nice.
I don't know if that's there's probably a better, but
it's
one of
fitting.
our fighters.
Yeah.
One of our fighters is a specialist at that, and that's Pali Han, who's making his pro debut there.
April 3rd, live on pay-per-view.
That's it. So the Leech Lee Han hopefully will pull that off. Maybe against the 7 times ADCC champ in the future sometimes.
Yeah. I suppose next fight was Bilal Mohammed versus Diego Lima. Bilal looked very good. But I think I don't know if Diego belongs at this point in his career. He just looked kind of out of his depth there.
He looked tired from the get-go.
Yeah. He was gassed about 2 minutes in. No, not Rodolfo Vieira gassed, but he was breathing heavy and looked uncomfortable for some reason.
He doesn't seem to be able to handle the pressure, and like Bilal is Bilal's striking has come on leaps and bounds. Yeah. But I mean, the Lima brothers are known for their striking, leg kicks. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't have. I would have, like previous to this fight, I would have said Diego Lima should have been able to handle the striking element of this and use his reach advantage and his leg kicks far more effectively. but it looked like he had no answer. He didn't know what he was doing when it came to Bilal's pressure.
And he landed a couple of leg kicks early and then just kind of bailed on them when he was on the back foot. He just didn't seem to kind of want to get in and exchange at all. He just looked a bit struck in there, like he looked like he wanted out after the first round, to be honest.
No, big win, big scalp for Bilal Mohammed, sort of.
Name wise,
yeah.
But it's I don't know if it improves his position in the division.
So he's called out Li Jingliang,
which is great call out.
The Leech, exactly. He's only calling out the one person one above him.
It's an approach. Gonna climb a ladder, you go one rung at a time.
Is that an awful lot of work just to gain one ranking spot?
The one thing I would say though is there's a little bit of hype on the Leech. He had a big win. It would be a big enough fight that you could argue if those two guys fought right now, you could put it as a main event on a fight night.
Okay.
And I don't think too many people would give out. So that there's an angle to it, whereas there's a couple of guys ranked above the Leech who haven't fought in a while or are coming off a loss that maybe aren't as appealing right now. Yeah, I think it's a big fight in that sense.
Yeah, so Ben Duquette is reminding us that the Leech just KO'd Ponzinibbio.
Yeah, so it's...
Derek Hickey, great performance from Bilal in the second and third round. Derek Hickey is the 2019 IMAF Official of the Year. So actually, Derek, I don't know where you tuned in there for our conversation on the... Was it the main event? No, it was the co-main event.
Which?
The one about the judging. I'd actually be interested. How did you score Kelvin Gastelum versus Ian Heinisch, Derek? Hang on, I'll get you back on screen there again. So,
and we don't think he's any relation of Andy Hickey, who did put up his Twitter handle. It's @UpTheDarce.
There we go. So actually, they might be related.
Who knows?
Are you brothers, long lost brothers, lads? You want to go snooping each other there on Facebook and get back to us.
So next fight up.
We're getting off track here.
Yeah, Polyana Viana had a good performance against Mallory Martin, and this actually earned her one of the performance of the night. Big win for Polyana. She was kind of the higher ranked girl in the division anyway, so I don't know what it does for her, but Mallory Martin was certainly one of the contenders that people were looking at. And you could argue Polyana is now a contender in that 15 division, but it's so stacked. There's so many girls. There's a queue there. She's got to fight some tough opposition before she gets to a title fight. But she did look damn impressive. It's just there's some tricky road ahead of her.
There was somebody, I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Tommy Toehold. Do you know the cartoon guy?
Yeah.
And he said Polyana Viana did the armbar, all of them, which was a reference to the fact that she went through a number of different variations, from a triangle armbar to like a kind of an Americana shoulder lock back to an armbar, and eventually got it. And like there was a full hyperextension there. I like looking at the slow mo, you can actually see the kind of either the ligaments or the tendons in Mallory Martin's elbow just pop.
It started out as an Americana attempt, wasn't it? And then kind of just transitioned around every sphere of the armbar.
Yeah, she just wasn't netting her out, like.
Yeah.
And fair play to Mallory Martin who stuck it in there for the try. That triangle was pretty tight. Yeah. But she seemed to have gills in her back or something. She was getting she was getting oxygen from somewhere. Yeah. Not necessarily defending it. Which, you know, she was kind of toughing it out more than defending it. But no, that takes balls too.
And you know? I don't mind someone, and maybe it's just because I'm a little bit squeamish, I don't mind someone toughing out a choke, but when you start toughing out an armbar or a leg lock or something like that, it worries me. Something going to snap and you're going to be out for a while.
I tell you, man, the female divisions, like I don't think they feel their elbows.
They all seem to be double jointed.
For the girls, the extent to which they can allow arm bars to go. Now, like some of the fellas are tough enough at that, like, but like
of course Tony Ferguson against Charles Oliveira not tapping to that armbar.
But you remember Misha Tate against Ronda Rousey in Strikeforce, and then again in.
And Paige Van Zandt, when she didn't tap to Rose Namajunas' one, was phenomenal as well.
These girls be crazy.
Yup. So next up, you had Chris Gutierrez versus Andre Ewell, and this is the one where John Anik dropped the ball massively. So John Anik passed some remark doing his colour commentary, as I now know it's not play-by-play. about both guys going through custody battles with their kids, and it was just it just struck me as a little bit strange. And you'd imagine it was something both guys had agreed on. He kind of does his homework on everyone. But there was a tweet that appeared, and it's not on Chris Gutierrez's Twitter account, so I don't know if this was photoshopped and made up.
Paul Snapchatted it before anybody took it down. He was like, "This is going to be some drama for the podcast. Go on, give us the scoop."
Chris Gutierrez said it's interesting at how John Anik brings up my custody battle, but doesn't discuss when he got caught cheating on his wife in 2017.
Drama.
Yeah.
Drama.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you start delving into people's personal lives a bit too much, they might throw some shade back at you. Like,
100%. I mean, he obviously got pissed off about it and called him out on it. You know what impressed me though was that is probably, I don't know, is this something that you should be impressed by? But if it was me, right, he got added, right? So he got a notification on his phone. He's mid-flow in the middle of doing the color commentary on a live broadcast. He must have gotten that tweet on his phone and like, oh shit, but didn't take a beat out of him.
Not phased. Yeah.
I
probably phased, but didn't interrupt his flow. Yeah,
I'd be gutted. I'd be depressed in the corner. Like I wouldn't.
But that's why I
wouldn't be able to do the show.
So I found this on a page on it that someone had screenshotted this. But when I went to research it, I'm just going to preface this completely because I don't know, it could be falsified. When I went to search Chris Gutierrez's Twitter account, it wasn't there. So it seemed like something that was taken down, but it did look real. So it could be fake. It might be real. Either way, I don't think John Anik should have been bringing up about some guy's custody battle.
Yeah, it seems a bit too far from the over the line, really, I suppose.
Yeah.
So Derek Hickey's just replying to whether about my question about the scoring. He hasn't seen it yet. He said, "My days of staying up until 5 a.m. are long gone."
You might give us a message there later on tonight when you see it.
So
the final fight of the night was Gabriel Green and Philip Rowe. Good performance by Gabe Green.
Yep. I'm reading my notes here. It was a great performance. I don't know. I'm trying to read my notes and sound intelligent at the same time. It's not happening. So,
you just have a little read there, Liam.
I'll have just talk about something else, Darren, until I catch up with my own notes.
Yeah, no, look, Gabe Green looked impressive. He's off. He's coming back from. He was out for a while as well. So another guy that's going to be there contending at 170. But he's like that. He's well outside the top 15. It's good to be on a pay-per-view card and open a pay-per-view card like that and get those eyeballs on you. But he's got a long way to go. Another few big wins maybe. So
this was another. I actually had. I wasn't sure whether Rowe actually got the decision on this as well. This is another one that the way
scored positionally.
Yeah, they were scoring. Yeah, the
scoring
was a bit,
on this was ridiculous. 129-28, 129-27, and 130-26.
Yeah, they were all over the place. Yeah, and there was in the second round we had 2 low blows from Green. Now, to be fair to him, like Philip Rowe was about fucking two stories above him. Like
he was at least
he was upstairs.
Taller, yeah.
He was upstairs, and the other one was downstairs. So he jumped up and punched him in the knob at one point. So it was
like me getting off my feet. Yeah. Whatever that was. Yeah.
So like he threw like a punch to what would normally be mid chest for somebody of Green size, and it was just right into the gooch.
He was aiming solar plexus, got the bottom of the cup.
Yeah, and then before that, then he had a lead leg, kind of he went for an inside leg kick and got the package. But what was funny about it was that Rowe was on the floor trying to kind of recuperate, and he noticed that one of his testicles had slipped outside the cup.
He said both, I think.
Did he say both?
Yeah.
Well, maybe he did. Yeah. But so the camera zoomed in on him
as he was trying to adjust.
So Joe Rogan was like, "A little bit of privacy here, please."
He does add some comedy value to the show, but yes, that was a strange one.
So and then my last kind of observation was in the third round you had Green finally capitalizing on those leg kicks that he was building up, and he actually dropped Green with a leg kick towards the end of the round or somewhere anyway. But for a guy that was getting out-positioned in jiu-jitsu, he then followed Rowe to the ground.
Down onto the mat.
Had he just stood him back up, he would have gotten the finish by leg kicks.
Yeah.
Do you know, there was only 1 or 2 more kicks in it, and there was maybe 2.5 minutes left in the round.
I actually honestly believe if he'd asked him to stand back up, I think the ref would have called it there, because it was gotten to a point where he physically couldn't stand, where Rowe couldn't stand on his legs. So I think it would have been stopped right there if he'd asked him to get back up, but he went down. And I
was thinking, so it's going towards the end, I was like, geez, he's actually literally after losing the fight because he made a poor decision. He went back into the guard again, you know.
Could have easily lost the fight, but I think he still came out on top. Look, he's a lot to learn, but he's definitely got some powerful leg kicks and got some weapons there for people to watch out for.
So Derek Hickey, I need 2 fights from you. I need the Gabe Green and Philip Rowe, and I need the Kelvin Gastelum and
get your scores into us.
Ian Heinisch, and So if you want to come on the podcast, maybe during the week, Derek, and explain why you scored them the way they did, and if they were right or wrong in what they did, then you'd be more than welcome.
Definitely.
Sean Wallace is back. We're delighted, Sean. Fair play.
I'm back. Okay.
Is that an Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I have no idea.
No?
I have no idea.
That's I'll be back.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben Duquette. Is it Doucette or Duquette, Ben?
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to write that down. You're just going to spell your name out again. But Green is 5'10", Rose 6'4". Yeah, there's a hell of a difference there.
Thumbs up for Doucette and a smiley face for Duquette, please.
Doucette. Oh, he has a better way of Doucette. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I see. I kind of I thought it was.
I had it wrong.
There's a bit of French in there.
Yeah.
There's a bit of French in there. Anyway, is that everything we've got?
Nearly about out of time or gone well over, but
Jesus, we are not.
Yeah, it was a good card though.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot to talk about.
Yeah,
and I didn't start. I messed up the start of the live show as well.
So we're only about an hour and 10.
Yeah,
very good. That's not so bad.
But yeah, so next week we've got Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis. Hell of a card as well underneath it.
Yeah. The big boys are going at it.
What's everybody's what fight are you looking forward to on that card, guys?
Yeah.
So we'll be back on what day are we back?
Probably.
Who have you got for interviews this week?
I have a pile of interviews this week. All again, mostly the Cage Legacy lads. I'm hoping to get an interview from the card next week. We'll announce that during the week. And of course, we have Pro-Am's predictions will be up before the card next week. We'll have our preview show and we'll have a review show. And seeing as it's after the main event and UFC 258 pay-per-view card, we might do a round table as well this week.
Mm-hmm. We'll get some of the lads. Ben Doucette, are you coming on for a round table?
Whoever's available, let us know.
Who else? Thomas, Andy, you guys available? Maybe bring Derek Hickey on for that round table and he can explain the refereeing.
Certainly.
Because there's a bunch of different things going on with the refereeing at the moment as well. Derek might be able to kind of bring us up to speed in that. There's the VAR, the video replay, and now they can restart the fight after the video replay as well. That's new.
Yeah.
And then there's a reversal on the downed opponent rule again.
But again, these are only applicable in some states. So there still hasn't been a rollout of unified rules, which to me is absolutely bananas. Highest level. That'd be like the Premier League in football or whatever it is in here. They're playing a game on Saturday, but because it's in Liverpool, they're allowed one set of rules, and because it's down in London, they're allowed to handle the ball if it's it's madness.
I thought there was a set of rules for Liverpool. They can't score anywhere except at home.
Stop now. Stop now. I shouldn't have even started.
And I don't even watch football.
Mm-hmm. It's a bad year. We won't go there. I'll get very upset. I'll start crying.
So there you go, guys. That's been our show. Thanks to everybody who has been on commenting. We've got a lot of engagement there today. We really appreciate it. Everybody that's been on. Yep. Hope you've enjoyed yourselves. As always, we'll be back midweek with the review previews and of the next card. Watch out for those interviews that Paul's got going up. You'll get them on the MMA Opinion YouTube channel. So go ahead and navigate over there as well and give us a like and subscribe over there. Really helps with the algorithm, gets the videos out there to a wider audience as well.
Definitely.
And if you have any questions or anything like that, do you want us to cover anything in next week's show, don't forget to send us a message and we will certainly bring you on or feature your comment or whatever it is.
Yep.
That's it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
I want to fight with Chuck. Chuck.
I think he just blew his wad there.
Anderson Silva, you absolutely suck. Are you still drunk right now? Are you still drunk or what? What's going on?
This is Bruce Lee shit. Frank Mir and a